Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I think everybody has had a chance to look at the minutes. If I have a motion to approve the minutes.
I could do that.
Second.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion to approve and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Freeland, you want to give us the treasurer's report?
Okay. Do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send something around. You guys, anytime you have questions about finances, we'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. You want to start that, Steve? There's 2 or 3 pages. On the top page is the balance. This is actually the year-end balance for Communities Foundation. So it ends up, our report would be the year-end report. We have had no transactions since last meeting, so the balance that we have right now, year to date, $41,800.52. In our checkbook balance, in the old prison chapel, is still $879.82. With that said, we have a request for some equipment for the chapel. Actually, it's IT equipment. It's for the computer. Lynn actually has dealt with it, I think, numerous times and realizes how antiquated computers can become, and they get slower, they get out of date, they get where no one really likes them, and so they dodge them, they don't use them. Lynn has been to Sights and Sounds and has gotten 2 quotes, or 2 bids, if you want to say, to replace really it's just the computer part, isn't it?
Retain the monitors and stuff like that.
Yeah, all of it. Everything that we need to replace what we have today. So the couple of bids, one of them is $949.98. The other one is $659.98. My understanding is Lynn says that probably the lower quote is certainly adequate, and if we want to purchase that or make it available here for the other building, as I would say, the lower quote would be just the thing to do. We would like to get this in the minutes. We will handle the financial part, and my understanding is that we would be making a donation, go through the department, and they will put their stamp on it because it would be a donation to the state agency, and then you could go ahead and purchase it then. So
that $800 fund would pay for that $600 computer, is that what you're saying?
yes, it will. The checkbook balance will pay for that, which
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I think we have a new computer.
yeah, with that said, we'll take care of it.
Okay. I think we're ready for you.
All right. Well, thank you all. You know, it is such a wonderful thing to have that kind of support in the community. We, to replace something like that, we would have to put it through all of our purchasing process, and it would go on the priority list with all the other computer needs, and chances are that's why it's so old because it hasn't been a priority because staff computers and all come above that. So I really appreciate Lynn remembering that this might be a chapel-related fund, because the volunteers do put on programs and they do use that, and quite frankly, some have not been using it because they can't figure it out and it's not compatible, so.
It's
some
5
will-
operating systems behind.
Yeah, and so some people will bring in their own laptop because our equipment, doesn't work, so I appreciate Lynn saying, let's just see if there's support to update that, so it will be well used, so thank you very much. Before we go to our program on reentry, or the update on the reentry housing, I don't know if, I don't mean to put Todd on the spot, but if you have any updates that you want to bring from the Board of Corrections, I certainly want to afford you that opportunity. We're starting a new fiscal year, and like most state agencies, it's a struggle. It continues to be a struggle with the funding that we're giving. Given we did not take a cut, and we got a bit of an increase on paper, but what that looks like for everybody that runs any kind of a private business or public sector, you're going backwards if you're not, on utilities alone. And we're projecting another 1,200 new offenders entering our system, and we don't have 1,200 beds. So the department immediately is looking at what are the things that we need to do to be able to end in the black. So, that is kind of our story, and this year presents even more unique challenges because a lot of the things that we have gone and tapped in previous years, the infamous revolving funds that you all heard about, they're just, that we've just about depleted, I think, any funding source that we could go to move some money. The revolving fund for us are industries programs, and they have a certain operating money to buy materials to produce things, and so those funds have been tapped for some time, and so a lot of the things that we have done to try to offset in previous years just aren't available. So I know our executive staff spend lots of time with the Board of Corrections looking at different ways that we're going to manage within the means that we have. So I'll keep you posted on that. It's just too soon to know what some of those things might be, but we have lots of projects going on, asking different parts of our organization to look at ways to do less of and more of, and to try to stretch our funds as much as we can. But even with that, with as grim as the state budget is, there are great things that still happen across the system, and what is going on here in Alva with Bill Johnson and reentry housing is one of those lights in the darkness, that there are still people committed to helping us complete our mission to return people that can be successful. And so the project that you all have taken on to sponsor, we've had, I guess, 1 or 2 meetings since several meetings, I guess, since our last advisory board meeting. And I don't know, Renee, Wes, I'm not sure who wants to kind of do a recap of those meetings. I have missed all of them, but I think we've had staff at every one except one. Hopefully I'll be able to step in on some of our future ones. I've just been not available for them, but there's great progress and lots of options still being looked at. So Wes,
I'll let you take that.
I don't know if you want to
Okay.
give it a recap. Okay.
As the board alluded to, we have met, I believe, twice since our last, or 3 times since the last meeting in here. We're 100% so far. We've got one guy placed. We had one guy that came in. We got him placed. So far, everything is working out great with that, and we're really pleased. We've got another one that is going to be released in the next several months. Our last meeting was last week, and we did talk about what we're going to be doing. It looks like we're going to have to start trying to find a funding source. So I haven't been able to catch up with Richard Ryerson this week. We're going to talk about the community foundations, and if there's a possibility of riding on one of the other organizations' coattails to kind of funnel that money through. Sonia had emailed me that it's a link to the USDA site. There is funding available for what we're looking at. It specifically states that there are some grants available for transitional housing. So those are not available until after the first of the year, I believe. So we'll work into that. We did decide last week that it's time to start going after some funds and donation. I mean, just donations, not necessarily go after the funding, but we've got to get the mechanism in place to be able to accept that funding. There are some people that would like to start donating to this. We've got to start working with a few other landlords. One possibility we talked about was if we could find an apartment that would allow us as a committee to rent, or as an organization, I shouldn't say as a committee, but the organization that we develop, to rent an apartment and then sublease that to offenders that are getting released on a temporary basis, if we can find one that will allow us to work that. That way the offender is paying us, the landlord knows that this group is going to be responsible for that housing situation, whether it's a house or an apartment. We'd really rather go apartment just for simplicity's sake. But everything we've done so far has really just been kind of making it up as we go. We've tried looking at several of the organizations throughout the state. Todd, what was the house in Oxford House? We looked at that. There's one in Enid. We contacted them and they said, no, we're not going to Alva. Alva's too small. There's another one in Enid that I believe, what was that?
Hope Outreach is
Hope Outreach, and I believe somebody was going to contact them about what possibilities we could have with working with them to help us organize ours. It really looks so far as if nobody really wants to come in here and kind of take it on. So we are going to have to do that ourselves, and that's why we decided we probably need to start organizing a little bit and starting to get means of channeling the money that's donated through this tax deductibly, because we do have people that are willing to do that. I've had a lot of people that have contacted me that are really excited about the program. I've only had one that didn't like it, and after a few minutes of talking with this person, it just kind of was like, well, you're probably right, but that's fine. There's going to be people that don't like this idea. I've had a lot more positives than negatives, though, so I think that I have not heard from any of the other members that they've had any negative backlash or anybody come to them saying, I think this is a bad idea. Our group really believes in it. We really enjoy the fact that we've got one placed and he's there, he's doing well. We've heard nothing bad from that, and we're crossing our fingers that it just continues.
Who's he employed by?
I think he's a city guy.
Okay. Very good.
Joe Don has not mentioned anything about him. To me, that's great. The less we hear, I think that's good. The less we hear from these guys afterwards, the better, I believe. We do have a pretty good support system available for these guys, and we're really trying to just nurture that and grow it. So I mean, any help that we can get is appreciated, and as long as this group is still behind us, I think it'll still move forward. Todd is doing a good job with promoting us down in the city as well, and he might be able to allude to that. We'll keep putting him on the spot until he says something anyway. If anybody else,
late mistake?
you know, right now we don't know. We're really trying to get the guys that get into our group moved on and out. We really want to be transitional. We're kind of shooting for maybe a 3-month. You know, it might be a little longer, it might be a little bit less. The guy that we got placed, it seems like 1 month and he was done. He's on his, I mean, the landlord that we got him with is real happy, and I don't.
Has he reached full payment? Is he paying the full amount of rent yet? Or is he still transitioning?
Pretty much.
Okay.
The landlord has worked it out with him. He's doing some odd jobs for the landlord.
That's
and
right,
so
So,
It's working through.
yeah.
I think an answer to Steve's question is, how long does it take to cook a pot roast? We don't know. And
On the employment,
Some could
they
take
come
longer,
out, background check and all that.
It depends on the employer. I mean, there's only.
Well, I'm thinking schools. We're always looking for custodians and
I think
Thanks
that,
for that.
and they're gonna have to
What's
pass
your-
whatever background test.
What's
they
your
need.
background requirements
Yeah.
gonna be? I mean, obviously he came out for us, yeah, we know he's got offenses in his background, but for the job he was gonna go do, that was acceptable.
Yeah.
We're careful about making
Yeah.
sure that whoever's hiring these guys does whatever checks they need to do.
okay.
there might be some, working in a school system, obstacles that you would have that other types of employment wouldn't.
So like
But
the
I know
program
Jodon
for us,
has been, he has been
And-
sensitive about what jobs and what they're doing, because this is a test case to make sure that the community feels comfortable with the kinds of things that they're doing. So I think we've all, ultimately it shouldn't matter, but initially, the initial placement, I think we do want to be mindful of what.
And we're not naive enough to know that there is a possibility of failure. We know that. We also know that if we don't try, we already failed. So if we do have a failure, we're going to keep trying, and we'll go on to the next one. We're not here to hold somebody's hand and make them do something. We want to give them the opportunity and the support they need, and get them going, get them on down the line, get them out of our housing and onto their own. Like we said, we really want to be temporary. We want to be just that short term.
Yeah.
Hey, you're coming out, you don't have a place to go, we've got a place for you, here's a job. You're going to have to do what you need to do to keep that job. You're going to have to do what you need to do to find a car, to find another house, because we want to be temporary. We don't
Right.
want to be a long-term solution for anybody. We want to get these guys reintegrated, and that's the best thing for them too, as well as society. Is get them reintegrated so they're not riding on anybody's coattails anymore.
I think, Wes, we also, direction from this committee and within our community, we need people like Steve that are willing to accept. Would you contact our committee and say, hey, I'd be willing to look at that? As well as we also need community citizens who are willing to help. We anticipate committees of 3 or 4 it's going to take charge of one offender and see him through. Lock arms with him and get to know him and make sure that he's doing the things that he needs to do. Not as a principal, but as a teacher maybe. And we know they're going to fall off the horse, and we hope they can get back on and continue riding. That doesn't mean that we're going to be able to succeed in all of them, but we think we can succeed in a high number of them. And I think if we put some model people in the right place and start some right programs, we'll succeed far more than we'll fail.
Yeah, and we're real lucky right now that we've only had one at a time that we're able to kind of baby step through this. My biggest fear right now is if the prison came and said, hey, great, we've got 5 people that have been out on cruise and they're ready to go, and we'd be going, oh my God, what do we do? So we're real fortunate that we're able to kind of baby into this, because we're learning as we go, and the more people that can help and get behind us, the better. Like Todd said, it does take several people to kind of get these guys going from different walks of life. I mean, and we need those people that are willing to give their time and donate themselves to these guys to help them move on.
Funding is the first thing, though. We've got to have a mechanism with which to put a pot to put it in, so that we can figure out where we can go from them. Because there's a lot of people that would love to donate towards it, time and money. And so we need a bank of money, and we need a bank of time.
Anybody that has ever put together one of these types of, please call me.
Well,
Or donate yourself to assisting with that. I've never done one, so anybody that can help, we are looking at it. It does not look like we're going to be able, so far, I mean, I have not spoken to Mr. Ryerson about that yet, but the other people I've talked to have kind of said, well, you're probably not going to be able to ride on the coattails of somebody else. It's going to have to be your own entity. So that would be the only unfortunate if we do have to be on our own. To me, it's not that big of a deal, it's just time consuming, so.
I mean, we talked to Freedom House, is that an option?
No, we haven't yet, no, and that could be an option. It's, we haven't gotten involved with them yet.
Well, it's interesting in the paper in just the last month, Hope Outreach and Enid had a front page article about Hope Outreach and Enid has been doing, they've had that Goodwill Center type, but they've actually got, are doing a transitional living component now. And Fairview has also got, I think it is, I'm not sure if it's religious based, but there is a group that have set up some transitional living. So, I don't know if I'm just paying attention more when I see those things in the paper, but those are fairly close to us, that maybe they have some resources, maybe they've got a model that would work. And so, we can talk about maybe, Ken's always looking for those kind of resources just as direct referrals, for our people going to those particular areas. But we could do a road trip and maybe get a little bit more background, or have one of you all go with us to ask what is their funding source, how are they, screening, making decisions, what services do they offer, and see if there might be some connection. I don't know if anybody wants to have a branch in Alva, but if they've got a mechanism set up, maybe there is a way to connect with them.
Yeah, and I can't remember who was tasked with trying to contact them this week, but we did just meet 1 week ago, so we do meet again on the 22nd.
We could pair up,
I think it's the
because we probably need to
22nd.
know anyway, if we've got guys that don't have a place
Randy Parker's
to go.
directing the one in Fairview.
Randy is, our old Randy? Well, we got a big inroad.
But I believe it's a court ordered program.
Oh, okay, so they don't take,
I don't think they take walk-ins.
Walk-ins.
Down the street, I think.
Resource still on
But it still could be.
information.
I've got access to them.
What Wes is dancing around very gingerly saying is, if we begin as a 501(c), that's mountains worth of paperwork in order to get the project started. And none of us as volunteers have a lot of time or experience with setting that up. That's truly the only way that somebody can donate into an entity, unless we can ride on the coattails, as Wes has already said, through Communities Foundation or someplace else. So,
But I mean, that would make sense, because I mean, the purpose of the fund was for helping BJCC, and I would look at it that it's a natural outreach of when they're released. I mean, I don't see that as a stretch.
the sky's the limit on what could happen with this, and it's really fun to dream about. I mean, our little committee, when we meet, it's an hour of packed information of just how can we make this better, how can we continue to go. But we all recognize the fact that there's plenty of people out there that are willing to probably help us, funding wise and even help wise. But right now we don't have a glass to put it in. We're still in the rubber band stage where we shift, and we need a pot to put stuff, information. Did I say that correctly?
Oh, yeah. And we did talk about, I know that the chapel committee, and we wouldn't be able to, we can't use that. We've got to be standalone.
so there is somebody that's checking into is there anything that can be done with the Community Foundation? Or do we know already no, without being a separate?
No, that's me.
Is there a separate unit?
I haven't been able to connect with Richard about that.
But Freeland may know.
Probably need to talk to the Communities Foundation people. We have names and addresses
Yeah.
that I can furnish you if you.
Well, Mr. Ryerson's still on that.
I don't know if he's still on the board.
He's still on it. We just did a lot of work with him on some stuff, and he'll be a good cheerleader for any Alva activity that's going on. But Randy and Will, Randy Macon and Will Merrick will be the ones that kind of.
Yeah, right now it was just an impromptu. I was going to try to catch him down there at the store, see what.
Working with the Goldbug Foundation, I think it's about $10,000, and then you have that separate account, and then you can write that as a checking account. And it could be, call it something. Wes might be able to do it. And we're through the Community Foundation, State Community Foundation also. We're under their curve. Short-tail.
Well, we're gonna check, I mean, yeah, we're looking into that just to see exactly what the possibilities are.
No, we're a member of the state, just like what he's talking about in the virus.
Yeah.
The good news is the worst thing that could happen is we have to become our own. If that's it, that's fine. It has to be done. If we can avoid it, great. But you know, if that's the biggest problem we've got, that's a good problem to kind of have. I think that we've got to have a mechanism in place for people to donate to. That's a good problem to have.
Well, Communities Foundation, one of the best things is that they provide investment, they provide bookkeeping, all of that, and disbursement of funds and so on. So if you can get in a connection with Community Foundation, it's a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're out there and having to have three people, you know, a president, a secretary, and an attorney. You know, so.
And we really want to try to avoid it. So.
And I suppose you'd have to ask them if, you mentioned the USDA grants, and I don't know if that would be something that they would accept on behalf of.
Yeah, and that was just something that Sonia emailed me. I glanced over it, saw it was just kind of a bullet point list of what they can, what grants are available, or what you can apply for, and that transitional housing is one of them. So I thought, well, it's something we'll talk about at our next.
Now the housing side of it, though, I would be surprised if that wouldn't be something that Freedom West couldn't do. The housing side.
Yeah, it might be. It just depends on if they want to get into that side of it. So, any other questions?
What kind of? I was going to ask, what kind of volunteers are you needing?
It's basically mentors right now. Is what we're really looking for. Is we don't know how much these guys are gonna call, but if we have people that are available, that they know they've got 3 or 4 guys or 3 or 4 people that they can contact.
But we did say that we thought it should be men in the beginning that we're doing that.
I didn't want to say that. But
Also.
I mean, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, whatever. That's above my pay grade to make that decision. But we need some volunteers. I mean, they're all men that are coming into the system, so.
You know, it can be as simple as, I mean, there's lots of models of that, but it can be as simple as when a person comes out, you know, assuming we've already got the job piece set up and the housing, is it somebody we introduce them to and say, here, this person here's Kelly Parker, he's willing to be your mentor. And not only can you call him if you have questions about things you might need in Alva or challenges that you have, but then for the mentor, maybe once a week, once a month, just a call to say, hey, how you doing? You want to go have a cup of coffee? Create, you know, a relationship. So, because a lot of times they won't ask, you know, so, you know, that's one of the things in teaching them, you know, how to develop relationships and to become a part of a community. Some have never had that sense. So, you know, and it isn't anything that wouldn't have to be a big time commitment on anyone's part.
And John Smith and Alan Messer, they've already got the program out here at the chapel. Their idea is that anybody that wants to be a mentor, they want the mentors to meet the guy before he gets out. And know who he is. They want the guy. They want that guy to know who his group is going to be ahead of time. I think the mentorship is going to have some, or the mentors are going to have some training, kind of what to expect, how to handle stuff. You know,
where to draw the line.
Where to draw the line, how to, you know, make sure they're not being manipulated into doing something out of, you know, guilt because you want to do something nice for somebody. Sometimes that can be construed into, or they can turn that around on you. So I think that the mentors really need to have some of that initial training, kind of what to watch out for to make sure we lead them on the right path and not turn them back into something.
Not enable.
Yeah, not enable them at all. That would be the number one thing, is don't ever be the enemy. Be the support. So, you can't.
What about further job skills? I mean, one of
We
had a good program.
When Todd said that we have an hour packed full of information, that's one of those things that as we grow, we would like to see Tech Center and the college be brought into this to where we can get some of that additional job training or further training down the road. You're reintegrating people into society that couldn't make it. Well, they're going to need a little help, and if that means that we've got to help them get those job skills, we need to make that available. So we're not at that point yet. I mean, we really are just baby stepping. We got first guy in a house and a job. We're doing good so far.
That's
So
huge.
if we can get the next guy in the same situation, great. Now we've got something to build on.
Ultimately, you think about, could they work into being an apprentice for
Yeah.
one of the trades?
Ultimately, we're looking at some sort of scholarship program or grant that we can actually give out to guys that they have to apply for. That they could go get some of that additional training. We're looking at that as far as the housing. Hey, we're going to take care of the first month so you can kind of get your stuff squared away, and after that, it's a loan or whatever we want to do. So, anybody that wants to input on that stuff, we are more than happy to listen to. So, we really are kind of on our own here. We're trying to go with, models of Oxford House and Hope Outreach and see what they can offer us so that we can combine all this. What we have found is that one model doesn't work everywhere. What works in Tulsa is not going to work in Enid, is not going to work in Alva. So we've got to kind of dance around how to make it work here.
And right now we're dealing with a single, he's single, but we could have an offender release that has family. And so again, some of their needs would be different and the community's response might be different. So yeah, it's.
We did have one that had a family and it didn't, it just, I don't know what happened.
Well, he ended up going to he had to do some time.
That's right, he had
time left,
to
and he's at a community work center right now, so it remains to be seen. He may want to come back here after he.
The next guy does have a fiance or a wife,
But no children, right?
No children. So we're hoping that this, that they fit right back into society. That's our ultimate dream goal, is to make it so that nobody knows that this guy was ever had an issue. That's better for everybody. But we just want to try to give them a little help along the way. Anything else?
No advisory board is doing what you all are doing, and it is such a great piece to our program, especially with the numbers that we're dealing with. And we do have people. I shared with Todd an instance just a couple weeks ago where they literally leave with the proverbial, $50 in a bus ticket. Now, just so you know, we try to get these people placed in halfway houses. We can't make them. So some of them will say, no, take me here and my family will pick me up. And, as uneasy as we may be, the need is great. And so, when we really start promoting this, and we've been careful about how we're promoting it with the population, because I can tell you if we put this out as an option, the list would be long. And so, we're being selective. A few offenders know we're kind of tiding it to the PPWP, which gives us a group to target that we've got some proven work history. But at the point that we have more resources, the need is great. The need is great for these guys to have some resources to give them a fair shot at getting out and being successful. So it is a wonderful thing that you guys have taken on, and I'm excited about where it'll go. So, okay. Any other question about just in general what's going on in corrections? Yes.
It's not actually a question, but a reminder, we were planning our 20th anniversary, and we've kind of picked a throwback theme. So we're searching for originals. A couple years ago, we had a pretty good percentage of our original staff, and unfortunately, we've lost even more. We have 6 original staff members here now, and we wanted to ask the committee here if you had any ideas that you might want to throw into it, or just get everybody's thinkers going. So when we start asking questions about way back when, we can come up with answers. And if there was anyone that any of you would want to be included in the program.
And when is it going to be?
Are we still set for September 3rd?
Yes, actually, the Board of Corrections was changed because I was concerned because Todd had a conflict because they had Board of Corrections on the 3rd and it's been moved a week. So our actual anniversary date is September 5th. So we're trying to do it as close to that. That's Labor Day weekend, so the 3rd is actually a Thursday because we got a feeling people are heading out of town on Friday. But Renee had a great idea what we would love to do, and we actually will do this. We would like to get a picture of as many of the current advisory council, but we want to bring back as many of the original members as we can. Some are still on the committee; they don't attend as frequently, but we want to capture that in time. You know, the original advisory board people, and then you at our 20th. This is our advisory board group as of 20 years down the road, and we're probably going to try to bring back some of our original, staff, like our first chief. Of course, he may not know this yet, so, but we're going to be approaching some of that first group of people that may have retired to come back and just share a story or two, and it'll be pretty much a home-based kind of event. We may have some dignitaries from Oklahoma City, but typically these are, you know, a celebration for the facilities and the community. So we will certainly invite the director and executive staff, and we may well have them attend, but mostly we want to know what you as a community would think would help us celebrate, you know, who to guest. We've been here 20 years. Yeah, been a great 20. So.
And we will have a lunch that day,
Mm-hmm.
just a little communication. We'll begin approximately 11:30, just kind of a come and go lunch, and then we'll move the program to the Benson Center for that event, and then we'll have a reception after that. And you should know that you will all be honored guests.
We weren't planning to make it in an open, you know, when we opened, we had an open invitation to the community for obvious reasons. I don't know that we can accommodate that, so we will send out invitations. But you know, if there are people who are really interested and who've been a part, and you know, we don't want to forget anybody either. But for lots of reasons, security and otherwise, that was a crazy event that day. Some of us remember what that was like, opening the doors and you know, having lines of people. And, it was a fun day, but yeah, it was from a security standpoint, it was a challenge to manage. So yeah, we'll be sending out invitations and hope for a really good turnout. So.
You still have the shovels.
Yes.
You still have the golden shovel.
I do. I've even got the hard hat, so we can bring that out.